if you don't do your best to learn the most about life, to learn the most diverse perspectives, you can't find out who you are. And once you find out who you are, I think all the power to you, advocate however you like, because you're able to do that to the best of your ability. But if you haven't reached that point, try your best to push yourself and learn. And this isn't to say that you should not stand for what you believe in. Stand with it, but have the ability to maneuver past your current belief. Welcome back to the Personal Process Podcast. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about why everyone is so extreme now and the importance of avoiding this extreme behavior. Now, as I speak, I'm not sure if I already brought this up, but my podcasts are unscripted. They are freestyle. And I think that even if I did talk about it, I'll be able to bring up some unique points. So what I'm going to say right now is that it's kind of crazy where we are right now. So as I speak right now, this is the point where a lot of the truckers are in Canada, I'm speaking of Canada, are in Ottawa at this time. And there are a lot of protests on freedom, and obviously it's a very politically charged topic. On one hand, the truckers are trying to avoid the mandates, and on the other hand, there is a group that wants to keep the mandates, and they think the truckers are, I don't know if I want to use quotes here, but they've been called names that essentially dehumanize them. I believe from one of the political candidates, I heard the term terrorist. And this is interesting because we're all part of the same country. We're all citizens of the same place. So why is it that we're not being treated as such? It's a bit unfortunate to me because at the end of the day, we're all Canadians, as I am, as the truckers are, as the politicians are. So why is there so much divide, and how can you rise above it? Well, one of the reasons for this, in my opinion, is the fact that these decisions are going to have very important consequences for either group. For those who are, pushing the vaccine, they want to, let's assume it's a nurse that has this views. I can understand her perspective. She wants to get back to work as soon as possible. She wants to not work long shifts. She wants to see her family. She wants to be safe. Those are very fair points. And at one point, I can understand those views. From the truckers' arguments, from those that I've heard, they want the freedom of choice. They want to have the ability to make a consenting voice. And I understand that opinion as well because, it may be a vaccine today, but what's the next option? What's the road that goes down? And a lot of the immigrants to Canada that I've spoken to have been bringing these concerns up because the fact is that we are going into a society that has a lot more data on us. And as someone who's personally done social media marketing for my e-commerce business, it's scary on how specific we can target an individual. And it's scary how, coupled with this marketing and the algorithm that these sites use, how we can manipulate a behavior. And this is scary for me because the road to losing freedom is very small. And if we embark on this path at the wrong time, there may be not coming back. So from that aspect, as an immigrant, I can understand this perspective as well. But I think, I'm not going to discuss my political views on this because everyone has their own political views. And I think that's one thing that I did want to address, though. I feel as though in these times, people are attached physically. I'm using that as a figurative term, but it seems that these views are embedded into their bodies. Because when one challenges them, it can stir up a fight. It can lead individuals to not want to talk to you. And this is interesting for me because in Canada, at least for the groups that I was. And keep in mind, I was a university student, and politics is usually not a huge conversation between that demographic, at least at that time, between the years of around 2013 to 2019, let's say. Individuals will say, oh, who did you vote for? I voted for, a party that's on the left. Who do you vote for? Oh, I voted for the party on the right. Oh, cool. Want to grab lunch? Sure. And that was it. But it seems that the gears are shifted, and a lot of more people are very passionate about their political affiliation. And listen, I don't have anything wrong with individuals who are passionate about their political affiliation. And I think that, if you've done your due diligence, if you've heard other people out, that's perfect. That is something that you should share. But I think the issue I personally have is that the majority of the people I converse with on whatever side of the spectrum have a physical attachment to their political ideology. And this is an issue for me because when this happens, we can't actually learn. We are trapped in a paradigm that we may disagree with from time to time. And if we're unable to converse, debates, have an ability to change our mind, then are we really free-willed? Are we really able to grow? And, my whole show is the personal process, your own personal journey. And for one facet of your life to be hindered by a roadblock, unwilling to change, I feel like that's halting the journey. So I feel like I have some push in this, whether or not you align with my political views. And I won't discuss it because honestly, it doesn't matter. I think all political spectrums have some things that are right and some things that are wrong. And I think if everyone just saw it like that, it would be a lot better of a place to live, because so many individuals are passionate about a certain political party, and they dismiss everything else. They don't want to even converse about anything else. They may label others who disagree with them as wrong, as quote unquote terrorists. And this is very unfortunate. We're doing a disservice, because the thing is, when these terms are used like this, you dehumanize them. And the issue I have for this is when an individual is dehumanized, that's the only time where individuals are capable of harming a group. I personally do believe that every individual, no matter what happens, does things out of kindness. And in terms of, calling a certain group, in this case, the truckers have been called, these negative names. People are being okay by having certain things taken away. For example, I think, police were taking away their gasoline, and I'm not sure if there was a different law. I haven't seen that news, but that just seems a little bit interesting for me, because I'm just wondering on, this is the group that's being targeted now, but you could be next. And it may not be due to your political ideology. It could be perhaps your skin color. It could be perhaps the way that you dress, the field that you work in. And if we don't address the issue at heart, which is treating everyone with respect, not labeling individuals things that they are not, it's going to be a very tough road. And I think that, we can't grow out of it, because once you label someone as an outcast of society, you lose the ability to empathize with them. And I think a lot of the colonization that happened had these things in mind. They labeled the in-group of individuals as individuals who weren't proper humans. And because of that, they felt they could, take over. They told their people they were helping while they were not. And this is a bit scary for me, because dehumanization causes people to do things that people don't normally do. They think by taking violence on a certain group, they think by taking freedoms from a certain group, they're helping the overall society, when in reality, they're harming their own society. And I feel that this is such a shame. We are in such a time of crisis where there is so much racial hate, there is so much prejudice. There's so much discrimination. And this isn't just from one group to a certain group. It is from all sides and all angles at every direction. It feels that we have lost the ability to just interact with each other, enjoy each other's company, and learn from each other, challenge ideas, ideologies, and grow. And I think that when we lose this ability, we lose our voice, we lose our ability to speak. And, this is something that perhaps a lot of individuals don't appreciate. But individuals who come from countries where you say the wrong thing and you can get murdered, this is something that is important to them. And they understand the value of that because they have lived experiences where their family members or friends were executed for saying the wrong thing. And the issue isn't so much of, well, you shouldn't just say the wrong thing, but what is the wrong thing? Who defines what the wrong thing is? What is the wrong action? I was having a conversation with a friend the other day with regards to individuals who are living in poverty. Let's say, for example, a single mother, 4 kids. They're living in poverty and the family didn't have food for, let's say, a week. The kids were starving. Now, assuming that this is a situation, would it be wrong for the individual to go steal food and give it to the children? Not even to herself, just to the children, just so they're satiated, so they don't have to suffer through this. It's an interesting line, right? Because ideally, you would not steal. Ideally, you would be able to get the food. But there are some regions where there aren't any food kitchens to give back to those who need food. And food is just a simple example here, but I guess the point I'm trying to illustrate is the notion between right and wrong is easy for those who have a lot. But what about those who don't have much? Where does that line get drawn? Does this line get erased and drawn in different locations? Does it curve? And I guess all I'm trying to say from this is that when an individual is silenced, it can lead to huge detrimental causes. And I think that everyone right now has a duty to society, your country, your city, your friends, your family, the world, to converse, to speak your mind, to listen empathetically, and try to figure out what's right. I don't think I have all the answers. I'm not trying to seem like that. I'm still learning. I've made so many dumb mistakes in my life. And, I've grown from them. I've apologized when it was necessary. But I still want to learn. I want to grow. I speak to individuals who I don't agree with at all. And, through that conversation, I'm like, you know what? We had more similarities than I thought. I learn a different way to look at life. I learn a different perspective. I go into groups that I don't know. And I want to do this because this will allow me to grow as a person. It will allow me to be more well versed with more societies, or more issues in society. And ultimately, allow me to care. And I think this is something that's missing right now. The conversations I've had with regards to the protests that are ongoing, there are a lot of people that are able to do this, see it from both perspectives. But I'd reckon that the greater majority, around 90% plus, are on one side of this. And I'm not blaming that. And, if they have considered talking with other individuals face to face rather than just consuming news, which obviously has a bias, all the power to you. But I think that if we are limiting ourselves by just one perspective, it's going to do us a lot of harm. It's going to do others a lot of harm because we're going to be thinking, we're going to have prejudice in our thoughts. We're going to discriminate because our thoughts lead into our actions unconsciously. And yeah, I think the main thing that I just wanted to get out there, and I think this is one of the things I need to do, is just show compassion to your peers, whether or not they agree with your own views. It doesn't need to be political. Whatever view you have, try to hear it from the other perspective. You may be surprised to learn of how much similarities you have and how little differences you have. You may be surprised to learn that your belief that you held so close to you was something that is wrong when you consider a new viewpoint or a new angle. And with all this, you're able to grow and you're able to advocate on your true beliefs. Because I believe that if you don't do your best to learn the most about life, to learn the most diverse perspectives, you can't find out who you are. And once you find out who you are, I think all the power to you, advocate however you like, because you're able to do that to the best of your ability. But if you haven't reached that point, try your best to push yourself and learn. And this isn't to say that you should not stand for what you believe in. Stand with it, but have the ability to maneuver past your current belief. With the analogy I used earlier, don't have these beliefs, the way that you see the world, as something that is physically stitched. I'm speaking figuratively here, okay? But not something that is very close to your body that you can't rip out. Think of these beliefs, the way that you see life, as Lego pieces, and imagine yourself as, let's say, I don't know, what did people build with Lego back in the day? I'm just going to say a house to keep it nice and basic. Imagine that you are the house in your Lego life. And I've been using Lego as a lot of examples. That's kind of funny. And, you know, every new belief is, let's say, a Lego stair or a Lego person that enters your life or some sort of additional piece. Ultimately, the house still remains there. Nothing changes there. There are some pieces added and pieces removed. Some can stay for a longer period of time. Some stay indefinitely. And throughout life, these pieces change. Our experiences change. Our beliefs change. And through them, we're able to understand who we are better as a person. I think as we grow as people, as we converse with more people, we are, in a way, filtering ourselves to see who we are, because it's hard. And until you experience something or some position, you're unable to actually do that. So with that said, I'd say that I guess the final message is be compassionate. Talk to people who don't have the same views as you. Don't dehumanize someone because they don't have the same views as you. Because who knows, in a couple years, you may be in their shoes, and having others call you derogatory names, label you as an outcast, isn't a fun feeling to have. And I think we really need to work together on every single issue. There's a lot of issues right now, but I guess one step at a time. Be kind, grow, and enjoy your personal process. We'll leave it here. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of the Personal Process Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend or two, and we'll check you in on the next one. Cheers.